I won't make it easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me breaking. You'll swear you're falling into me. Touch me. I swear you'll do anything.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode, our season 3 of Unscripted Media Group, or Unscripted. Lord Jesus, help me. We are back. We have Dr. Ryeal as our special guest today. I'm so excited. You guys are in for such a treat. He spoke at the Rise Experience last year, and let me tell you, he left everybody with their jaws hanging on the ground. Okay. Then I have my girl, Thea. Right, she is my mindset movement strategist. She gonna hook y'all up today, and of course, Miss Eliza Inez with her beauty, honey. So yes, today we are talking about being single, being married to Uncomplicated, and Jesus help us, the entanglement. Now, the word entanglement got real big when the whole Jada Pinkett, at the end of the day, it was about somebody stepping out, feelings were involved. And so our goal today is really show you that there is literally a science to doing why we do what we do in our relationships. We're going to get your mindset all together with Miss Thea here. We're going to share our own personal experiences. But before we go into that, I want to go ahead and give a round of applause here to Dr. Ryeal. Dr. Ryeal, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, why you do what you do, and then go ahead and bring us on in.
I'm a neuropsychologist, and I specialize in why we do what we do from an eco-bio-psychosocial and spiritual point of view. I teach body language as well. I'm also certified as a sex expert too as well. And I work as a consultant for the film industry. So when people are writing scripts and movies, they come to me and I add the science into it. And, the relationship theme type films. And I specialize in the brain as to what's going on in the brain when and the body, biology and neurology, what's going on when we do certain things in our relationship. There's other ones, but that's.
Let me tell you guys, all of that probably just went completely over your heads when this man begins to talk about the science, the scent of the scent that we leave behind when we encounter somebody. We're about to go real deep with this, y'all. So again, we're going to go from being single to being married to it's complicated. We pray that you are not there. And if you are, we're going to help you get up out of that, to the entanglement. So Dr. Ryeal, when we spoke with you, earlier, when you spoke at the event, help us understand what that really means. Why is it that it seems that we consistently date the same type of person over and over, knowing that they're not really good for us? Help us to understand that.
Yeah, we hear that statement a lot. I have people ask me that all the time. Why do I keep attracting the same person over and over again? And what we don't realize is that most of the time we're being passive and not aggressive, not active. And what that means is we're actually seeking out the person and we're not actually attracting the person when we have not totally detoxed from our significant other. So when we say keep attracting the same person over and over again, it is exactly the same person in a different body. And what it is that our body, if we don't detox, our body still yearns for that person. So what it's going to do is it's actually going to find someone that is similar to your ex person, because you haven't completely detoxed that person out of your system what we call it is the major histocompatibility complex, or the human leukocyte antigens. And when we meet someone, the first thing we do is smell. And our body naturally does a body scan, and it also naturally does a smell scan. And it smells to make sure that the person doesn't have any pathogens, any viruses. You know, it's because it's there to protect us, right? But when it's also smelling, it's smelling our immune system, it's smelling our DNA. And if it's anything that it picks up that's similar to our significant other, as well as social compatibility, because we have social compatibility and we have the major histocompatibility, right? So if it picks those things up, then instantly it reminds us of our significant other. And then the body says, oh, yeah, hey, this is what I'm familiar to, and this is what I'm comfortable with. And this is something that we should get with, because therefore I'm going to get what I need. The body is saying I'm going to get what I need and fulfill what I need, right? So if somebody says something or do something or laugh like your ex, you know, you're like, oh my God, but you don't really know that that's what's going on inside, right? But the body itself is saying, yes, yes, this is somebody similar to who left us, you know, let's get with this person, right? So we don't realize that the body is actually yearning. So then let's talk about like a drug dealer. So now when, or drug addict, when the drug addict's drug dealer goes to jail,
Come on now.
Addict stop taking drugs because his drug dealer is in jail? He doesn't stop, right? So what does he do? He go out to try to find what? Another drug dealer. And he doesn't, and you know, he usually finds the exact kind of drug dealer.
Wow.
He will actually, the frequency, he would sense, he will actually actively spot a crack dealer versus a marijuana dealer. You know, it's the same response. Yeah.
Wow.
So we have to detox. We have to completely detox that person out of our system, so the system could know that we are no longer interested in that guy. We're no longer having feelings about that guy. We don't think about the guy anymore, because, you know, we have this little thing in our brain called the hippocampus where we store information, right? So we store all of that information about him is still there until you erase it out. And some of us really don't erase it. You know, we may still have.
Wait, but doctor.
Yes.
She about to give it to you. She ready. She ready.
No, because you know what? You dropping so many fire bombs right now that if anybody is like me, like in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have hit the. But I don't want us to skip over something, because you've uncovered something in that I think if we got to stay there, because some people need some help, and I'm raising my hand, okay? Because you said that what we're doing is, because we've not detoxed, right? We're attracting the same thing, just in a different format. Some of us have switched from, and I'm just being honest, some women have left men and even gone to women, and they still get the same results. And it's all because the blueprint is the same. And so what I'd like you to do before you move forward to another topic is really talk about how we can start recognizing that we're caught in a blueprint, because most people, honestly, for years, I didn't even know it. Because to me, it was Keith, and it was John, and it was Chris, and it was Nathan, and it was, you know, but it wasn't the same Billy that started it all, or my dad that started it all. Like wherever the blueprint was written, I never recognized that it was being duplicated in all of these people. So how can we as individuals in relationships recognize that we're literally running replays just with different people.
I like that, running replay. That's nice. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, part of that is being very mindful when we're asking ourselves, it's information like what we're doing right now, right? So thank you so much, Shay, for doing this, because this is so serious about being mindful of what we're doing. And you know, one step is actually listening to us today, right? So you could prepare your mind to be mindful of that repeat, right? Because people don't talk about this, so we don't know, you know, what a repeat looks like, what a repeat feels like, right? So it's important for us to be mindful of our behavior when we're actually going out seeking into the relationship arena, right? So, you know, we hear this all the time. Girl, I met this guy. It feels like I've been knowing him forever. And so it's our duty now to say, now you sure that's not Mark in another body, right?
Hold on, women. Why are you relating that to only women? Men do the same thing. I'm not gonna let you come to the ladies, okay?
Yes.
Like, girl, no, men do that too.
Yeah, men too. Absolutely, absolutely. Men too. Men too, absolutely. And so that's why we have to remind, you know, the guys or our woman friend, you know, that, you know, are you sure? If he reminds you of, you know, like he feels like you've been knowing him forever. And so it's also our duty to, as a friend, to say, well, you know, are you sure that it's not reminding you of your ex? Right. Because that's what it feels like. When we have that feeling. So it's not necessarily a good thing. But remember, when we used to say that, it was always a good thing, right? It was always a positive thing. But we don't realize that it's not necessarily a positive thing, right? So we have to be mindful. If we have that feeling, we have to act, we have to do
a self-examination.
Self-examination, you know. Wow, do I feel like this because is he reminding me of my ex, or
but isn't it just the intent? Isn't it just kind of like the familiar feeling of it, like Deidre was saying, that every person is different, but it's not necessarily. What if it reminds you of those good things? Because a lot of times we tend to want to see the good in somebody, the person that's moving forward in a relationship, or the person that is married. We tend to look for the good, right? Because we don't want to see the negative. So those familiar feelings of something being good, doesn't that kind of like outweigh, or maybe that's what we're feeling? Because we're not, of course, the red flags, we're going to call them red flags, the things that remind us of somebody that's bad, we're going to call those red flags. We can immediately spot those things. But why is it such a negative, you know, when we're taking the good qualities, or that person makes us feel that certain way because it was something that attracted us to it?
Oh, great question. Great question.
Right now.
Yeah, great question. You see, actually, our discernment, right? Our discernment really tells us. And what's another word for discernment?
Intuition.
Intuition. Your gut.
You're right.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm so glad you asked that, because actually our body is designed to protect us, right? When we walk on the edge of a building, when we walk on the edge of a mountain, what happens?
I'm not going that far. I know I'm about to fall off.
You know, I always get that answer too. It pulls us back, right? It makes us go, whoa. If we look over and we go, whoa, and we go back, right? That part is the amygdala of our brain. And that part of the amygdala of our brain is always looking for danger. It's always looking for danger 24 hours a day. Why? Not that it's looking for danger and that's a negative thing. It's always looking for danger to protect you. So if we hear a loud noise, we jump, right? And instantly it's called the freeze, right? Fight or flight, because we freeze first, right? So you've heard fight or flight, but we don't say all three. It's really freeze, fight or flight, because you freeze to figure out what was that sound, right? Because the amygdala says, hey, that sounds familiar. It could be a gun, right? And so what you do is you freeze to see if it's a gun. And sometimes we're in a party, we don't even give it a time to see if it's a gun because everybody's running, right?
Right.
After hearing it, because everybody's amygdala responded the same way. And that's why everybody started running. Okay, now back to the question. That amygdala tells us, our intuition tells us, our gut tells us. It's been many times that we've been around a person and we say, you know, it's something about that person. Have you ever said that?
Yes, about females too. You know, it could be a female to female.
Absolutely.
And you just
Absolutely.
feel
About humans, even about animals, right? You feel kind of funny not to rub this animal.
Mm-hmm.
And you were right, because somebody else went to rub the animal and he bit him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's our spirit. That's the amygdala, that the spirit that triggers the amygdala that's trying to protect us. For instance, when we say, man, I was getting ready to go to this corner store, something told me to go to McDonald's first. When I came out of McDonald's, I realized they robbed the store and shot people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That spirit guided us to McDonald's. Now, this is the deal. Our spirit is telling us, it tells us that this person is not a good person. It makes you feel unease.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do is ignore the red flag. We ignore those signs. God gave us those signs to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? Why do we ignore? Hey, that guy has a nice symmetry. He looks handsome. He has a wonderful golden ratio, looks nice and stocky and built. She looks very wonderful, nice golden ratio body. He's probably, racking up the money, nice car, nice suit, got his thing going on. So we rationalize something that we're actually feeling, the true feeling that's telling us something's not right with this person. We've experienced this all the time in our lives. We've been in practice throughout our lives and once we become an adult, we know what that feels like. But what we do is rationalize that feeling, and we come up with other reasons why we should continue talking to this person, continue being with this person, because it's the same as it's no different than the opposite, right? Say when you're hiring somebody at a job, and
one second, Dr. Ryeal, because I already know Deidre's like, hold up, what?
Because I think it sometimes, though, Doctor, can it go deeper than what you just said? Because sometimes it's just not a matter of not listening. Sometimes you've been conditioned through whatever. You could have been raised in a household where what their definition of love was, or what their definition of relationship was, or what their example was dysfunctional. So in that relationship, you grew up seeing women be called out of their names. That was your normal environment. So although you may know that it's not right, because it's a familiarity to you sometimes, then that's something that you're not even consciously aware of sometimes, that you have bad programming. So could that also play a part into it? Because I think it comes on both ends.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely does play the part. And that's why we have to be also mindful of our upbringing. We have to also be mindful of our parents' relationships.
Right.
And because it's so important. And again, that's why it's so great of what we're talking about right now, because that's a tip that people have to pick up. You have to be aware of your environment when it comes to a relationship, because sometimes women think a good man is a man that beat on me because my father beat on my mom's, right? And so you actually call men, some women call men wimps because you let me do such and such and don't put me in my place, because my father put my mother in his place, right? And this guy is a nice guy. He's like, what are you talking about? What do you want me to do? Right? Well, you a wimp because you let me do such and such, and you let me, and it's like, well, what kind of relationship were you in? or what kind of family that you grow up in.
Right.
See, and then this is your definition of a man. This is your definition, and vice versa, because a woman who's going off with their kids all the time, and this guy, and he's like, well, you too nice, you know, and they actually don't want to date the woman who's too nice. They want to date the woman who seems like it's the mother who's always cursing, who's always going off on the kids, who's always going off on the husband, right? And now you meet a nice woman that doesn't do that, that doesn't want to curse, that doesn't go off on you and all that. He looks at her as passive and submissive and, you know, too nice. And, you know, so I don't want her, right? So yes, you're definitely right. These are some of the things that we have to be aware of and do self-evaluation when we are sensing those body messages, those neural messages that's talking to us and telling us the danger, right? The danger. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember, the show used to call it Lost in Space. And it was this robot. He would always say, danger, danger, Will, danger, danger. Well, they got that actually from our amygdala telling us danger, danger, because that was always Will's, I forgot his name, my last name in there, but he was always the amygdala for him. He was always the person that's going to save him and try to get him from going into danger. But again, we have to be mindful of it. We have to really understand it. So we could be aware of our best friend. That's our best friend. The spirit connects our amygdala. So we could be aware of our best friend. It's no different than your best friend, physical best friend. Your physical best friend, and then your biological best friend, your neurological best friend, right? You guys remember the cartoons where they had the little professor in the brain working the little remote controls, you know, in the robot, right? That little professor, he's in the big robot, and he's in the brain working the mechanics and all that. That's that person that's in there, and we have to be aware of it and then respect it.
And I know that, you know, Deidre, she works on mindset. That's what she does. So in this instance, Deidre, like speaking to the singles, because you're a single woman, you know, like even speaking to the single person, the person that's dating, what would you even tell them about this? Like, I know, make yourself a priority. Like, you have to know what you want, need, and desire before you get into the relationship so that you don't fall into it, because the whole conversation is really avoiding getting into any type of entanglement, right? Because you can get into that. So I know you had an experience yourself with that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You know, it really wasn't until I hit what I call the rock bottom entanglement, because there are levels to waking you up to really taking inventory of what's happening in your own life. And I literally had that epiphany 3 years ago, and I've been on this journey of really figuring out, like, okay, I'm 40 something years old. I've never been married for real. Okay, we're gonna throw that in there because on paper I might have been, but it wasn't for real. Yeah. And then I've had these failed relationships, and the only thing that's in common in each of these relationships that I can truly see is me. So if that's the case, if it's me that's been in all of these relationships and they're all different, why did they all come to the same result? And what I had to recognize was, number one, I didn't even know what I really wanted.
Right.
I didn't. And so my mindset, I was just going for what was easy for me. I was just kind of on this autopilot of just rebounding, saying I'm gonna suck it up and go to the next thing. And I was still attracting the same thing. And so literally 2020 is a true vision year for me, because it slowed me down long enough for me to really say, okay, you've healed, now let's get whole. Because healing and wholeness are two different things.
They are. Absolutely. Eliza, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
oh, did you ask me?
No, Eliza, she's been real quiet.
Like, you know,
absorbing it.
Yes, I'm just
Oh,
absorbing
she's
all of
frozen.
this. But when you say when you talk about self-evaluation, how can somebody kind of waken their conscious mind? Because some people, I feel like they just live in an unconscious mind. So how can they, know how to even that they need a self-evaluation?
Well, I'm gonna say this for me now, doctor. I'm gonna leave all of the, I'm gonna leave the real therapy over there to you. But I'm just gonna tell you, for me, the awakened person, I honestly had to have a true heart to heart talk with
Yeah.
myself and do self inventory. Like, am I
Yeah.
where I want to be? Do I have what I want to have? 10 years ago, would I have predicted this is where I would be? And if the answer to any of those questions are no, heck no, and why you there, then you got to make you literally have to make a paradigm shift. And for me, I'm just at the point when I tipped 50, and I'm gonna just throw that out there because I had my party already. But when I tipped 50, I realized I had to be honest with myself. Some of
Yeah.
us are not honest with ourselves, and I had to do that for me because
Right.
I didn't want the next 50 years to be like the first 50. Because if you plan on living any given point of time, you can make course corrections. And so my awakening was just a true inventory of life that may have come at the change of life or whatever it is for you. But that's what it was. Doctor, on your, what would you say as far as how people, how people can start to waken themselves up to their real realities? Because some of us, we haven't done that yet.
Right.
Yeah, I have to say 100% of what you just said is actually it. I mean, you said it. You said it. That was it. You just have to get to the point where you got to do that self-evaluation. You got to talk to self, and hopefully people who are seeing this now could say, oh, wow, I never thought of that. I
Yeah.
never thought about actually evaluating myself or to go to therapy, and then they'll, try to help you to do the same thing. Right.
Right.
But what if you can't, what do we do? And that is exactly what you said. I mean, everything that
Yeah.
you said, actually. Yeah.
And if people who can't afford certain services, there's this university called YouTube. Amazing.
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
University is actually a great
Amazing.
course.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
And I think
Absolutely.
It'll
that
get you to a place. It'll
it'll
get you
get
to
you
a
all the
place.
way
But
together.
Yeah.
Shay,
Absolutely.
you bring a different viewpoint because in some of the things that you've shared to me, I'm talking single entanglement, but
Yeah.
you're talking, you've had marriage entanglements where, yeah.
Hold on, let's rephrase that. Not in my current marriage, y'all. Okay.
No, I'm talking. I said had. That was had. That
Yeah.
was past
People
tense.
probably missed
Okay,
that part though. They probably missed that
that's
part.
what
And
I'm
then
saying. And I'm glad you pointed it out. Let's get it all together.
let me get them all the way together. We're not talking current marriage, okay? Yeah, but there was a
But
relationship that I was in. I was married previously and working
mhm,
in corporate America, and I met this guy that was working there as well. He was legally married, but we were both separated, living together but separated in both of our marriages. And what we found was the commonality between his marriage, my marriage, what we were going through. So it was like, hey, let me get you the coffee. Okay. Oh, now you're bringing me coffee. Oh, now I'm starting to think about you in the morning. So let me go get you some. Let me stop on my way and go get you some breakfast because you brought me coffee yesterday. And it was like those little things and that entanglement. Let me tell you, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. When the people say you are stuck on stupid for somebody, I was like, what? Huh? Who?
yeah,
He did so much wrong, but could do no wrong in that. I think for me, I held on to it because he made me feel good. Although his actions weren't the best, he lied about so many things. But he made me feel good. The feeling was
yeah,
good. He was good to my kids at that time. And so it became something that I held on to just because, oh, well, he's always complimenting me, or, we're
hmm,
going out on dates and I feel good. And I had to do a real, like, get yourself together, girl. What are you showing your daughters?
right,
you know at this point I had 3 girls, and so it's like, what am I showing my daughters? What am I showing my son? Am I letting him know that it's okay for a man to come in and out? No, I refused to, and that was my change. It wasn't me per se, but it was more so thinking about my kids, because they're watching the behaviors. And like you had mentioned earlier, I didn't want them to grow up thinking certain things were okay in relationships. And so I got to the point where it says, I can make myself happy. I know what I need. I know what I want. I know that I want someone who is faithful. I realize I don't want somebody else's husband, and he shouldn't have wanted somebody else's wife.
Right.
You know, so being married, and when we talk about that, before I even got there, had I truly been open and honest with my current marriage, and had he done the same thing, we would have never had an opportunity to be entangled. You know, I didn't have a voice in my marriage at that time. So now with this marriage, which there has been no entanglement, let me just reiterate that.
Right.
You know, we are very transparent, and sometimes in being transparent, it's very difficult. It's hard to have those conversations, and we're hitting that 5-year mark now. So it's like, hey, 5 years, let's go back and revisit some of the same conversations that we had in the beginning, because you're different, I'm different, we are different together. Are you happy? Am I happy? Are you sexually satisfied? Am I sexually satisfied? Is my mental health okay in this marriage? And sometimes people don't want to have those kinds of conversation in a marriage, and it's very sad.
I like that.
But that's why it's so important that we literally take the time out to know who you are. Like you said, you know, Deirdre, it's so important to know. And it's also important to get the help. I always say, like for me, coaching, it's not about when I'm going through the storm. It's about preparation for if I go through the storm, how I'm going to handle that. Like I knew what kind of wife I wanted to be. I wanted to be a wife that was allowing her husband to get down to his most vulnerable places without condemning the fact that if he needs to cry in front of me, he can cry. You know, if he needs to just vent, he can vent. Because I needed that openness. I needed that openness for me to be happy in my marriage, you know.
And you would have never known that in a lot of sense if you didn't go through the things you went through before. And see, that's the part that when I'll volley it back over to you, Doctor, because I think that if you listen to my story, if you listen to Shay's story, if you listen to Eliza's story, or even your story, Doctor, they're going to all be different. So there is no cookie cutter to this, but there are some fundamental things that have to be addressed. And so, Doctor, what are some of the fundamental things in relationships that will help us not lead ourselves down the entanglement aisle? Just the fundamental relationship things.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and I like to use, well, now it's 2 celebrities because it's Jada Pinkett, and I like to use Schwarzenegger's situation. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Governor Schwarzenegger. How that happened was similar to Jada Pickett's. Remember, if I'm reading this right, you guys correct me. That there was a gentleman staying with them, correct? With Jada Pinkett, the guy.
Right. Pretty much.
Right? He was staying with them, and they were helping him out and taking care of him for a minute, you know, when he was down and out. And then think about the nanny that was actually living with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Right? Yep. So I just want to take it to a different understanding, to the science of the understanding.
Look, don't let nobody live at your house. If you a married woman, do not have no other woman come up in your house. And if you a married man, do not have no woman come up in your house. Look, you need a maid, you better go on Amazon and buy yourself a maid outfit, honey, and put it on, because
there you go.
Sorry, that's not the science behind it. That's just my.
But no, that is the science. That is the science behind it, though, because in your case, Shay, the lowest common denominator in your case, Shay, is that he didn't live with you, but you still spent time with him to give you those, you're beautiful, to give you those, I like what you have on today. Right. That was what you said was so intelligent, right? It's no different than the wife that's going to work out with her trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and her trainer is doing the same thing.
Right.
Because she's not getting this at home, right? Because the trainer is saying, wow, you're looking really good. This workouts thing is really working out,
Right.
And so this makes her feel good that she's noticing that she's losing weight, right? But when she goes home, she really wants to hear that from who? From her husband.
Right.
Yeah.
She really wants to hear it from the husband, but she's not getting that from the husband.
Mm-hmm.
So this is even motivating her even more to want to go train, right? Oh, I'm going to work out, every morning. I'm going to work out because she's getting something that she's not getting at home.
Right. Which is really just about open communication. So that's where it goes back to, you have to be honest and transparent if you want something that's going to be long lasting. That's why we see so many people that stay together just for the sake of the kids, and then as soon as the kids hit 18, they're getting a divorce. That's the problem, because you never really were getting what you needed while you were married. And I'm sorry, at this stage in our life, 2020 should have done nothing more than wake you up to make you realize that time is not promised. And why waste it? Why waste the time that we're given here on earth? As long as you have breath in your body, there's a bigger purpose for you. And there's no point in being miserable. There's no point in being upset. Like, I would rather see my husband happy as a person because I love him that much. And if I can't do that, if I'm not giving him the things and I'm not willing to do that, I want to underline that word willing. If I'm not willing to do that, then I feel like he has the right to leave the relationship, relieve the marriage, and go ahead and do what you do to make you happy.
Now that wait a minute, that was real cute. I like that. I like how that sounded.
No,
but everybody has. Let's just be honest. You the 5%. Everybody's not at that spot. Like most people haven't taken full responsibility for anything themselves. Period. And so, with that being said, you're an evolved individual, right? And the evolved ones, first, second, third, we're gonna get it right. But some of us, we're still in the phase where our whole existence is built on a social media status of single, married, in a relationship. It's complicated because the truth is people want relationship. But if we don't have some common denominators in relationship, because the point of us even coming together is to provide you with tools. Like you got to have the tool, like Shay said, of communication. But then outside of communication, you need to know what to talk about. Doctor, I just think one of the things in our community that we haven't done a great job at is training people on the art of having successful relationships.
But
I really blame it on our school system, because we teach you everything.
And the church.
And then in the church, we teach you everything and then throw you out into the society and say, because all we teach is school and business, but we don't teach you how to have a family.
We don't teach you how to communicate.
Relationships. Only time we teach about relationships if you want to be a counselor, if you want to be a therapist, if you want to be a psychologist. But what about people who don't want to be that? But is that necessary? That is so necessary, right? To teach us about that. It reminds me somewhat of why you won't cure some of these diseases, some of these pathogens, some of these viruses, because you're going to make money off of cancer, but you can cure it, right?
Right.
So we're going to make money off of divorce cases. We're going to make money off of people getting divorced. We're going to make money off of this, because if you teach us in high school, have a class about family, right? You're teaching us early so it can go into our brain, right? And then when we get in college, you still have to have a prerequisite before you graduate. You got to have family before you graduate, right?
I think that if people put so I've been divorced twice before. I think if people especially the government, where you have to go sign and get your little cute marriage license, and you can get that done in like 15 minutes. But you go get a divorce, especially if you have kids. My last divorce took 9 months to finish.
Yeah.
Had it taken 9 months to get married, I probably wouldn't even have been married.
Right.
Can I be real with that? Someone posted a question on their social media one time that said, if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that you could not exit that marriage, would you still get married? And a lot of times, if people are really, 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 truly honest with themselves, the answer would be no. And I said this,
No.
I was talking to another coach the other day, and he and I were having a conversation about relationships. And I said to him, in my marriage, and I can't speak for nobody else's, I am willing to do the necessary work to make sure my marriage stays whole and happy, right? And that means that be willing to hear that, wifey, you ain't so perfect. Wifey, I'm gonna need you to get up in the morning and start doing your makeup again. Wifey, I'm
Come
gonna need you
on.
to put your clothes on, right? And stop walking around the house in your moo-moo thinking it's cute. And there's a book that I was told to read. Okay, and my inner self was like, I ain't reading no book. Can't no book tell me how to be a wife. Okay. However, there was this book called How to Love a Black Man that I am reading. And there are some things in there that I'm like, oh, I already got that on lock. That's on lock. But there's some things in there that make me go, oh, okay. So I think that if you are in a marriage, in a relationship, you have to be consistently willing. Some people want the wedding and not the marriage. You
Oh,
ain't
boy.
really ready to go through the things that it takes to make your marriage work. The ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the richer for poor. Those vows should be actions, not just words the day of that you get married.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree. We don't want the tools. We don't want the tools. We don't
And
want to.
the tools are there.
We don't want the tools. We don't
Yeah.
want to listen. We don't want to read the books. We don't want to read the videos. We don't want to go to YouTube. We don't want it. We think we know it. We think we got it. That's why most men don't want to go to therapy, right? He's like, I don't need to go to no therapy. I don't need to listen to somebody. I got this, right?
Right.
And we don't want to get advice because we think we are naturally equipped with this.
Right.
And it is so much to it. It is so much to it. And look, are the tools just to have a vitalized, harmonious, cohesive working relationship? It's also to let you know that this isn't working because you got the tools.
Come on.
If you're a coach, if you are a basketball coach, that player is not happening. To either go talk to that player or trade them, right? So when you have that tool, and that's so important to have that tool. And then go back to knowing your non-negotiable requirements, your needs and your wants, and that's so important.
Nah, that's it right there. I love that. Non-negotiable needs and wants. I call them terms and conditions now, because let me bring this up. I was in the workforce for over 20 years before I knew that I could negotiate my salary. Because no one told me that. I thought when somebody offered you the money, you had to take the offer. It wasn't until I was talking to one of my girlfriends at work of another race, and she started telling me how they offered her this position, but she didn't like the salary, so she countered. I said, what is that? She explained it to me. So when I say some of it is just ignorance is bliss, it is, because I didn't know in relationships that I could actually look at what I wanted in life and choose a partner based on me. I was taught that I had to, they took a Bible story and they used that to tell me how to find a relationship. He that findeth the wife findeth a good thing. Okay, but you didn't tell me what a wife was. You didn't tell me that a wife is not just somebody that cooks at home, because a Proverbs 31 woman was a realtor, an investor. She owned property. She managed the household. So a lot of the tools that we have, we just honestly don't know. And until conversations like this that matter happen, we will never be able to open it up and really grow as a people, because most of us think the other person should know better. And the truth of the matter is they don't.
And that's one of the points in the book as well. So guys, this has been an amazing, I think much needed conversation. So as we end this episode here, thank you for joining us. I want everybody to give their final and closing thoughts, but I want to leave you with this. This is my closing thought. Do not go into 2021 the same person. Forget about the New Year's resolution. Make that resolution right now. Figure out, are you with the right person? Figure out, are you doing what God has called you to do? Figure that thing out. Take a moment to self-reflect. Take accountability for your own actions. And if you ain't putting in the work, you're not going to get the results. You might be watering somebody else's grass. Okay? But somebody might be coming to water your grass. Just don't leave it like that. I'm just saying. My thoughts.
Oh, that was
my thoughts.
that was a real good.
Okay.
That's right.
Dr. Ryeal, what would your final thoughts be?
I'm just going to piggyback a little bit off of what you were saying as far as your job, right? Not realizing to negotiate, right? And I think too, for I'm putting the power right now into the woman's hands, because I just want people to really, why it's important to understand your non-negotiable requirements, your needs and your wants, is that I like for women to understand that you're the employer. Us men, we're interested in trying to get the job.
Come on now. She like,
it's the honest truth, because
It
I
is.
ask women, how is it that you got married? And they say, because my husband asked me. No, it's because you hired him. You said yes. The power is in your hands. You're the employer. We're trying to get the job. So why it's important to understand your non-negotiables and your needs and your wants, because you have to understand the questions you're going to ask these people who are trying to get the job, because you're the employer, right?
And the one thing, scripture says,
you don't know your business, you don't know the questions to ask. So it's important to know your business. And who is that? Yourself. It's important to understand self. Take out time to know self.
And then scripture actually says, which Bible, okay? He that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord. You are his favor. Woman is his favor. You have to walk into that. Don't give yourself an arrogance, okay? We can all be checked. We can all be left. We all do the self-work. But if you come into a relationship whole, and you're not going to just settle for anything. You're not going to settle for just the lies. Call that lie a lie. Period. Like, put a period on it. Deidre, what are your thoughts?
In my closing remarks, from a single perspective, I think the most valuable thing I could have done this year was recognize exactly what he said: my negotiables, my wants, my needs, my desire, like just getting to know me. If nothing else, if you can't get any kind of vision, a lot of times we want to have vision for our lives outside of ourselves. But until you have a vision for your actual life, you yourself, see you, the person, in the place that you, the person, wants to be. Until you do that, you can bring Kiki, Shay Shay, Roro, and everybody else into your life. I mean, that's. You've been a part of my life for a long time, girl. Shay Shay is like my go-to person. But you can bring all of you can bring all of these people into your life, and if you're if you don't know who you are, they will never find their right place. So if nothing else, 2020, get a real vision of you. Because if you get a real vision of you, then everything else that comes in to fill in that picture is going to match. It's not going to be contradictory to what you are. So I'm gonna toss it back to you. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Bring us in. What's happening next week? Shay, tell us about the next show, or is it a secret?
Girl, well, the very last thing I want to say, and then Liza, I want to give her final thoughts as well. Know who you surround yourself with, right? If you hang around bad fruit, you're going to produce bad fruit. If you know you're going through something in your relationship, don't be around that person that's going to say, girl, if I was you, I would leave him. Because she's going to be the same one. She's going to be the same one calling his phone trying to get with him because she know he was a good man, right? Not all the times, but again, know who you surround yourself with. If you want to go to another level, you need to get with some next level people, some next level thinking, you know. Eliza, what are your final thoughts, babes?
I am definitely going to piggyback off of what you're saying as far as getting yourself, even if it's a new group of friends, because that also does, I feel that it does a self-reflection of who you are as a person. I know that I've let go plenty of, friends that in my marriage showed, like, I was acting in my marriage, which I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, that's not even me. So even in my marriage, I had to do a self-reflection. I had to, along the lines of when I did that reflection, find who I truly was, and then, how to communicate more with my husband on who I was. So even in a marriage or when you're single or everything like that, like I feel like it's never too late to find yourself or to do a self-reflection.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate each and every single person here. I hope that those who have watched this live have taken something away from it. I know that you've given us life with your comments. I'm going to answer Diana's question. Yes, you will be able to go back and watch this across the platforms again from the beginning. I think Facebook or any platform makes it wait for a little bit, but you will be able to go back and watch it. Again, I want everybody to join us in. Wait a minute. Hold on. Deirdre's about to get your life on her podcast every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. So be sure to tune in to her live podcast. Yeah. You can see across the top that we have all of our social medias. Please take a moment, follow us, give us that support. We really want to do this to the best of our ability. Join us next week on Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as we bring in Mario Choice, talking about health as well. So we're going to talk about mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. So again, we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we will be out.
Doctor.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'd love to come back.
We'll have you back.
Yes.
Gotta come back.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more too about the Schwarzenegger thing and how your significant other can end up sleeping with your best friend.
Ooh. Y'all,
he would drop. How do you drop that on the way out? Like that's like how's that your? That's one of those things that'll bring them back, doctor. They'll come back for that.
We'll have him back, y'all. Stay tuned. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Bye.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
I won't make it easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. Oh.